wonderful people, it's Wild here. Today I'll be showing you how to build a Skulk Deep Dark Fortress. This imposing build has everything you need to start rebuilding an ancient city kingdom, and its fortified look is really stylish. Let's get building. The materials you'll need for this build are on your screen now. Here is the outline for today's build. You can see it is a circle which is 7 blocks across, and then there are sections sticking out on all 4 sides where we've got some details, and make sure you leave a gap at the front for the door. We're going to start the build by creating 8 posts which are 6 high out of some deep slate bricks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to go 1 higher with this one, and you can see these are on either side of the 4 faces of the build. Like that. Now that we've got those in, we can start working on the walls using cobbled deep slate and some skulk. I'm going to start with placing the skulk in each of these corners, and then going along the bottom of the 3 sides without the door. When we come to the side with the door, you'll just need to leave a gap to walk through. Now for the walls, I'll start by building up to 1 below the height of here, just in the corners. And then for the 3 faces with windows, I'm going to build up to that height and then add in a 3 high window with some dark oak fences. Now for the door side, I'm going to leave in a little gap for my door, and then above this I'm going to have a 1 high window. And just build all the way around, and you should see that the build looks like this. On top of this, I'm going to place some more deep slate bricks, and then we're going to create a crenel and merlin pattern. So I'm going to place an extra deep slate brick on the 2 locations here, leaving a gap in between each, then on the corners, and continue this all the way around. So it should go block space, block space, block space. Like that. Now in these spaces I'm going to add in a dark oak fence, and then I'm going to go on top of everything with some deep slate brick slabs. So you can see that this is raised the crenel and merlin up by a half slab, and then we have these walls in between. Now I'm going to switch to some grey wool to do my floor. It's important to use wool when creating a build that's intended to be placed in the deep dark, so that way the warden doesn't hear you walking around in your own base. And I've also got myself a friend here. Him and his llamas are getting in the way. There we go. Once I've got this floor in, I'm going to add in a ladder. I'm going to have mine coming up this side here, and I'm just going to come up to this height. Now I'm going to place my next layer of the floor, which again will be made out of the grey wool, at this level, the top level of the cobbled deep slate here. And I'll just fill the whole thing in. In survival, you want to make sure you're lighting up as you go so you don't have mobs spawning. Alright, that's the base of the build done. Let's start adding some details. The first thing we want to add is some buttress-like details to these walls. I'm going to start by placing in a chiseled deep slate with a polished deep slate stair on top. Then I'll count 2 blocks up and add an upside down polished deep slate stair, and then a right side up one. And I'll do this same thing on the other sides. If you're enjoying today's tutorial and would like to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you part of my community. There we go, we're all the way around. Now at the top, I'm going to do this same upside down and right way up stair detail facing in towards the corners. And then at the bottom of the corners, I'm going to build up 2 high with some deep slate brick walls. There we go, all the way around. Adding details like this makes the build look more robust, which is perfect for a fortress. I'm also going to go across the join between these two stairs here with some deep slate tile slabs. Now coming up to the top, we're going to add in a second turret-like section, and for this I'll start by placing in some polished deep slate walls in front of each of these sections here, and then in the diagonal in between. You can see there's a circle made out of the walls now. On top of each of these polished deep slate walls, I'm going to build up 2 high with some deep slate tile walls. And then on top of that with 1 more polished deep slate wall. On top of each of these, I'm going to go in with a chiseled deep slate. And then to connect up the circle, I'm using some upside down deep slate stairs. I'm using the tile ones here because they have a slightly different color, which provides some contrast from the lighter bricks below. So if you look from above, you can see we've got a circle, and now we want to create some crenellations. Now here I'm going to be using some stairs going back and forth like this. In the corners, I'm going to use some deep slate tiles. And then in the gaps between the stairs, I'm going to use a slab. We've got this lovely crenel merlin texture now. Behind this, to fill in the roof, I'm going to be using some skulk, and just a hint of this will show through when you're looking through the crenels and merlins, and you'll be able to see it from underneath, which will look really magical. To give this fortress a real castle-like feeling, I'm going to find the center of this roof here and build up 4 high with some dark oak fences, and I'm going to create a little flag. For this I'm using some grey wool and some light grey wool. Get a little curve like this, and then I'll curve again underneath with some light grey wool. Going to go in with some more some dark oak elements here, just to tie the whole thing together. I've got some buttons up here. Going to place some buttons underneath on this side. And then I'm going to go in with some trapdoors. I'm placing a trapdoor here so it's on the block where we've got the fence, so that way I can hang a lantern from it. And I'm also going to place dark oak trapdoors underneath each of the windows. Of course, you'll need a door, and I'm using a dark oak one here. And then I'm going to use some skulk veins just to add a little bit of this texture to the sides of the builds. I'm just going to have this growing up really naturally. It's up to you how much or how little of this you want to add. Oh, and I better put my buttons here, I missed them on that side. There we go, it just adds another touch of blue. Now let's check out how you could deck out this fortress to make it a really cool place to live in the deep dark. Alright, so I've placed the fortress here in an ancient city. Now of course, if you're building this in survival, I highly recommend you go ahead and clear out the deep dark of all of these skulk creatures, so that way you don't have wardens spawning when you're trying to build. But of course, you could live dangerously and build it before tackling that. Now I'd recommend that you have some lights leading up to it. It'll make it a lot easier to find your base. But let's have a look inside. So on this bottom level, I've included a lot of the things you'll need in survival. We've got plenty of chest space and an end chest. We've got some furnaces over here, and then a little enchanting area. Now you can expand this by adding some more books and having them going up the height to get higher levels of enchants. But I can get a level 18 with this setup here, and it still looks really pretty. I've got the bed in a really easy to access place. And then I've tucked the crafting table in the roof here, and this is great because you can access it from down here on the lower story as well as from upstairs. So let's head on up. Up here, you can see I've designed it to be like a little crafting workshop. So I've got a smithing table, an anvil, and a brewing stand up here, as well as some storage. A really great way to make your storage look more purposeful is to have them scattered like this and use a mixture of barrels and chests. Barrels certainly can be useful for storing things when you're not going to be having a whole double chest full of them. And like we could below, we can reach our crafting table from up here, so it's super versatile. Now, because I like my crafting spaces to be both pretty as well as functional, I've added some decor like some candles, some skulls, as well as some potted flowers, and I've gone with neutral colours on these. By using neutral colours in the decor like the candles and flowers, it allows the colours that are in the different crafting blocks like the books and the enchanting table to feel at place, and it tones down the coloured scheme. But of course you could customise this to fit your colour palette by changing out the wall decor. I've got some weapons and a totem of undying, as well as the pot plants and candles. And while this design has plenty of built-in storage, if you'd need more storage space, you can always break down and create a little basement just by extending this ladder. So now you know how to build a deep dark skulk fortress. If you'd like to know more about tackling the warden and about the deep dark in general, make sure you check out the video in the description down below. I'd also really appreciate if you consider subscribing, and if you'd like to support me more and get some awesome benefits, check out my Patreon. See you in another video!